Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the invisible force that decides what's on our shelves and, more importantly, how it even gets there. We're talking about supply chain strategy.
So, have you ever wondered about this? You go to the store, you're looking for something specific, and one brand, it's always there. But its competitor, always sold out. So what's going on? Is it just random luck, or is there something much, much bigger at play?
Well, the answer isn't magic, not even close. It's actually a really powerful idea called strategic alignment. This is the real secret sauce that separates the companies that are winning from the ones that seem to be, perpetually one step behind.
Okay, let's dive into what this really means. Designing the right supply chain is, and I'm not exaggerating, maybe the most powerful way for a company to get a real competitive edge. It's how they move faster, deliver more value to you, and stay flexible in a crazy world.
It all kicks off right here with what's called the business strategy. Just think of this as the company's North Star. It's their big picture game plan that answers one and only one fundamental question. How are we going to win?
So here's the absolute key takeaway. A company's supply chain strategy can't just exist in its own little bubble. It has to be a perfect mirror image of the overall business strategy. I mean, if these two are out of sync, the company is basically trying to drive a car with the front wheels turning left and the back wheels turning right. You're not going anywhere. It's a recipe for total failure.
And this brings us to a really critical choice every single company has to make. Before you can even begin to build a supply chain, you have to decide what kind of company you're even trying to be.
And while business can feel insanely complex, when you boil it all down, there are really just three fundamental paths a company can take to try and win in the market.
Now, what's really interesting here is just how clear these choices are. First off, a company can compete on cost. This means making basically the same thing as everyone else, just cheaper. Think about a store's generic brand. Or they can compete on differentiation. This is where you offer something totally unique, something you can't get anywhere else, like a fancy new phone. The third way is to focus on a really specific niche market, like a company that only makes, say, high-end gear for professional rock climbers. Each one of these demands a totally different kind of supply chain to work.
So, once a company has picked its lane, what's the actual on-the-ground goal of its supply chain? Well, it really comes down to mastering this simple but incredibly powerful concept.
It doesn't matter if you're trying to be the cheapest or the most unique. The mission is always to master what are known as the 3 V's. You can think of this as the core operating system for any supply chain that's actually successful. The first V is visibility, and this is exactly what it sounds like. It means having a crystal clear line of sight into everything everywhere all at the same time. Just imagine the data from a single item being scanned at a checkout line being seen instantly by the warehouse, the factory, and even the company that supplies the raw materials. That's visibility. Next up, we've got velocity, and this one is all about pure, unadulterated speed. How quickly can materials move? How fast can orders be filled? How fast can cash change hands? Higher velocity means you get what you want faster, and for the business, it means higher turnover, which, believe me, keeps investors very happy. It's all about killing idle time. And the final V is variability, and the goal here is to destroy it. See, business is naturally unstable. Demand suddenly spikes, a shipment gets delayed. By reducing these wild swings, a company can operate way more efficiently. It doesn't have to waste a ton of money on huge piles of safety stock just in case something goes wrong. And this, right here, illustrates the formula perfectly. It's this constant balancing act. You're always trying to push visibility and velocity to the absolute max, while at the same time, you're trying to squeeze variability down as low as it can possibly go. This is the daily mission of pretty much every supply chain manager on the planet. So now we have the blueprint, right? But having a great plan on paper is one thing. Actually turning that plan into reality, well, that's a completely different challenge. Now, I know this probably sounds super obvious, but you would not believe how many companies stumble right here. A brilliant strategy that just sits in a binder on a shelf is completely and utterly worthless. The real magic is in the execution. So, how do you do it? Well, the process usually follows a pretty logical path. First, you have to be brutally honest about where you are right now. Then, you decide where you want to be. After that, you design the strategy to bridge that gap. And then, and this is the most important part, you actually implement it, and you never stop adjusting it. But, reality is always messy. And this slide shows why so many of these well-intentioned strategies just completely fall apart. A lot of the time, the people who design the plan in some conference room are not the same people on the ground who have to actually make it work. Or maybe the goals are just way too vague, something like achieve global leadership. That sounds great, but nobody knows what to actually do. Without real buy-in and clear, actionable steps, even the best plan is probably doomed.
And all of that brings us to our final and maybe most crucial takeaway. Thinking of your strategy as a one-time project is pretty much the biggest mistake any company can make.
The world just doesn't stand still, right? Customer tastes change, new competitors pop up, global events can disrupt everything overnight. So a winning strategy isn't something you create and then just follow blindly for 10 years. It has to be a living process, a constant cycle of planning, acting, learning from what happened, and adjusting for next time.
So if you remember one thing, let it be this. The best strategy isn't a detailed map that tells you every single turn to make. The world is just way too unpredictable for that to work. No, the best strategy is a compass. It's something that gives the entire organization a clear direction, but it also gives them the flexibility to navigate all the unexpected bumps and detours along the way.